Hello friends, my name is Jess and welcome back to my channel, Books Past Bedtime. In today's video, we're going to be doing my March wrap-up. March was a very good reading month for me, both in terms of quality and quantity. I read a lot and I also rated books really highly. In March, I ended up reading 18 total books and my average rating for the month was a 4.1, which is crazy. Let's go ahead and get into it. Today, we're going to start with my reading stats for March, and then I'm going to go ahead and talk more in depth about the books that I read and rank them from worst, in my opinion, to best. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video to find out what my favorite books of the month are and which ones I recommend to everyone that's watching this video. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into my reading stats. In March, like I said, I did read 18 books. This amounted to 5,368 pages, and I also did listen to quite a few audiobooks. Most of them I tandem read with the physical books, so they're kind of double counted. But I did listen to 18 and like a third hours of audio in March. I did also end up rereading 2 books and I purchased 6 books. In terms of ratings, like I did mention, my average rating for the month was a 4.1. And even though that was so high, I actually did end up DNFing 2 books this month. Only one of those I rated. So there was one book this month that I didn't rate at all. And then I had 1 star, which was the other book I DNF'd. I had 1 2.5 star, no 3 stars, 2 3.5 stars, 5 4-star books, 1 4.5 star book, and 7 5-star books, making my 5-star books the highest category of books I read this month, which is crazy and so great. I loved so many of the things that I read this month. Taking a look at the genre of the books that I read, of course, read the most romance books. Honestly, almost every book I read has romance in it, so this month I decided to track my genres a little bit differently, and I counted the romance as the like sub-genre so that I can see what categories of romance books that I'm reading like easier. The ones that I did mark as romance though are either like erotic or like purely for romance, like that is the main part of the book. Most of those are paranormal or KU, like romantic-y type of things that are more for the smut than the book. So that's what I'm now categorizing my romance reads as. So I read 6 of those in March. I also read 3 contemporaries. I read 2 fantasies, 3 historicals, 1 magical realism book, 1 mystery, and 2 sci-fi books. So I feel like sorting it this way makes it seem like I read a wider genre of things, which I mean, I read widely within the romance genre. And I feel like I want to track that more. So that's what we're doing. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and talk about the source of the books that I read from. So I didn't listen to anything solely on audio. I either read it physically or listened while reading. So I read 8 ebooks, 5 physical books, and then 5 books tandem read physical and audio. Looking at the publishing status of the books that I read, 1 book was indie pubbed, 6 books were self-pubbed, and 11 books were traditionally published, which is not normal for me. You can kind of see like the versus the year chart. I'm now kind of like neck and neck with self-pubbed and traditionally published books, and I think that's because I'm reading a lot of the books that are on my shelves instead of just doing Kindle Unlimited binges, which I feel like is good for me. I think it will be very difficult for me to break up with KU, even though I would love to. Like, obviously, hate Amazon, hate corporations, hate capitalism. There's just not a lot of alternatives out there. And also, I am kind of seeing like authors posit the argument that not reading through Kindle Unlimited hurts the indie authors more than it hurts Amazon. I'm feeling very conflicted about the whole Kindle Unlimited debate going on. So if you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them in the comments. That's kind of where I'm at on that right now. Let's look at the source that I acquired these books from. These are kind of all over the board. I did read 1 book from Audible. I had 2 from a book box. I had 5 from a bookstore. 1 I borrowed from my roommate. 6 I read on Kindle Unlimited. 2 I got from the library. And 1 I read from NetGalley. So a very wide range of things were happening this month in terms of where I acquired my books from. I also kind of had an interesting spread of like the audience that the books were from. So I did read 11 adult books, which I mostly read adult at this point in my life. But I also read 6 YA books and 1 middle grade. And these mostly I think came from pulling from my shelves and reading for other challenges. But they all were really good, honestly. I think I rated most of them 4 stars. So now in terms of the diversity of books that I read, 4 books were diverse in terms of the race of the characters or the author. 15 were LGBTQIA+. Obviously, I read mostly queer books on this channel. I feel like the few that weren't were pulled from my TBR Takedown Challenge. 7 books were known own voices books. I love reading diverse stories, so that aligns with my reading tastes. Honestly, I don't have anything to say about that. Okay, I think those are all the stats that I want to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into the actual books that I read. Like I said, these are going to be from worst to best. I'm going to do a quick review, let you know what I've rated them, and we will keep it moving. So let's jump into that. The first book that I want to talk about is one of the books I DNF'd this month, and that is Detransition Baby by Tori Peters. I ended up only getting like 40 pages into this book when I just decided it was not for me. This was actually my second time picking this book up. I picked it up, I actually purchased it when it came out like in 2021, and I tried reading it then and nothing really grabbed me about it. And trying it again now, I just wasn't feeling it. It's very much about these self-destructive people. It's a lit fic. It is following a trans main character named Reese, and it's also following Reese's ex who lived as a trans woman for a long time and then detransitioned, and now he has gotten another woman pregnant. And it's following these three people and how their lives sort of come to get back together and intertwine. But all of these people in this story are very unlikable. They're not people that you want to root for. And with everything going on in the political climate, I just need books that lean more towards queer joy than queer self-destruction. It just was not my vibe, not something I saw myself liking. There was lots of like violence and like self-hatred and things going on in this book, and I just wasn't in the right headspace to read it, so I did decide to DNF it. Although this book is written by a queer trans author, so I don't want to like not recommend it to people, and that's why I didn't rate this book, because I didn't want to drag anything down. Also, I didn't really get far enough into it, I feel like, to fairly rate it. I am probably gonna unhaul this book. I don't see myself really ever reading it in the future, but that's not to say it's a bad book. I think it's probably well written. It has great ratings on Goodreads. It's just not a book for me. So this one was DNF'd this month. I did also DNF Forbidden by Alessandra Hazard. I did get further into this book, I think maybe like 65%, and I was like, I almost finished it, but then it's so bad. It's so bad. This is the fifth and final book in her like Wrong Alpha series, and it's so funny because I reread Unnatural, the first book in this series, this month because I love it. It's like my favorite Omega-verse book ever. This series has just gone downhill from there, which is so sad. And this book was kind of highly anticipated because it's following two characters that we meet in the very first book and that have a lot of lore around them throughout the series, but this was just not good. It's definitely like very taboo. It's age gap. These two characters met when they were like 5 and 17, and they kind of grew up together. The younger one is the alpha and the older one is the omega, so I think that that is supposed to like wipe away the power imbalance dynamic, but it really still felt kind of icky, and it wasn't for me. But I did DNF this one, and I also gave it 1 star because I didn't like it. And it was also just really poorly written. There was lots of weird time jumps, lots of plot holes, lots of just nonsense going on. So this was not for me. I did not like it. Next on my list is Slithery Heat by Ro Orvat. Ro Orvat is one of those authors for me that I just want to read from every once in a while. They're just really filthy, really smutty, really dirty, usually Omega-verse, and they're just a lot of fun. And this one I probably liked less than some of the other ones. This one was more alien. It was like an alien and a human, and they agreed to kind of procreate together in this like weird arrangement, kind of like the one character agreed to be the surrogate for the other, but of course they're fated mates and they fall in love during this procreation situation. It was fine. It was good. It was like just a good, fun, short little read to like break up some of the like other things that I was reading, but wasn't anything to write home about. I did end up giving this one 2.5 stars. I wouldn't like widely recommend this one. It might be very weird for some people, but you know, it's a short, fun, smutty book if you're looking for something like that. I would read other things by Ro before this one though, because he has a lot of better books than this one, but this was, you know, fun for what it was. Next on my list is going to be A Den Mate for Dylan by Emery Winters. This is another Omega-verse story. This one is brother's best friend. These two have kind of orbited around each other for their whole lives, and Dylan, our younger character, has harbored a crush on his brother's best friend for pretty much his entire life. Finds it so difficult to get over it, and he like goes away to college, tries to get over his crush, but it just never goes away. And then when Dylan comes back home after college, his crush is still there, and they end up like finally realizing that they are fated mates meant to be together. And then from there it gets just really cute and sweet little romance. Getting there though was like kind of a lot. There was like lots of time jumps. Each chapter was kind of like a year in time, showing a little vignette of them interacting. I don't love that kind of a timeline, so it was a little bit like annoying to get to the point of them getting together. But overall, this was a cute, sweet story. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. It just wasn't incredible, but it was fun. It was cute. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. And then the next book that I want to talk about is Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I did read this in my TBR takedown video. I liked it. This is a sci-fi with like a found family group of characters who are trying to protect this girl who they find, Aurora, who has been cryogenically frozen for like 200 years. She was supposed to wake up on this new colony, but she is the only survivor. There's something mysterious going on with this colony that she was supposed to go to. The like intergalactic police force wants her dead because she's the only one that knows about this colony and they want to keep it secret. Something big is going on in the galaxy. So this book has like action and romance and found family and friendship and exciting heist plotline-esque things. And I think if I had read it maybe back in high school, I probably would have loved it so much. But right now, as an adult, and also knowing that these authors and their views are a bit questionable, I think that probably colored my enjoyment of this one. I ended up giving this one also 3.5 stars. I'm not super thrilled about continuing the series. I know I have the next book on my shelf. I purchased them before these authors got canceled. I'm not sure if I'll end up reading that or not. This one was just kind of okay. It was good and it like had elements in it that reminded me of like why I love sci-fi, but it just wasn't a new favorite or anything, so, you know. Next on my list is The False Prince by Jennifer A. Nielsen. This is a kind of middle grade fantasy series. It's the first book. It's so funny that I had never heard of this book before because it seems like it was popular like on OG BookTube, and like I was here, so I don't know why I didn't notice anyone talking about this book, but I did end up reading it because my friend Izzy read Soul Eater for me, and this is her favorite book, so I was like, okay, fair exchange, I've got to read this, and it was really good. I ended up rating it 4 stars. It's a really fun, exciting start to a fantasy series, and in it we're following this boy who kind of gets kidnapped by this man. This man has also kidnapped like 3 other boys and basically wants to train them to become the prince. Like he's trying to claim the throne because line of succession has been broken. The royal family is dead, but there's also like a prince that has been lost, body never recovered. They don't know where he is. And so the idea is that he's going to groom one of these boys into being the prince, come back to life, come back to claim his throne. But there's a twist.
Oh, y'all wanted a twist, eh?
And the twist was crazy. I did kind of guess it, but it was still fun to see how everything unfolded. It was really exciting at the end, and I definitely want to see where this series goes. I did really enjoy it, and I definitely would recommend. So I gave this one 4 stars. Next on my list, I'm going to talk about Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and this was really fun. We're following a new mystery in this series, but still the same main character, Pip. One of her school friend's brothers go missing, and the police won't take it seriously, and so they kind of enlist Pip to help them out. Pip decides to do it after some debate, and so she dives into this new mystery trying to figure out where her friend's brother has gone. There's lots of shady things going on, lots of clues to follow. It was really fun. I did enjoy reading this one. I didn't feel like it had the same spark as the first book. There was just something about it that, I don't know, I just remember loving the first book so much, and this was really fun and a good time, but it wasn't like a 5-star material, you know? It wasn't a 5-star vibe, but I did really enjoy this one, and I'm glad that I finally got to it because this has been on my shelf forever. Yeah, it was definitely a good time. 4 stars. Next, I did finish reading all of Ashley Herring Blake's backlist this month, and so I ended up reading Suffer Love and How to Make a Wish. These are both YA contemporary romances. Suffer Love follows a main character whose parents are going through a bit of a rough patch. It was discovered that her dad cheated on her mom, and so there's a lot of family drama at home, and our main character doesn't really know how to proceed, how to go on when she sees her parents totally differently than she used to, as like people instead of heroes, you know. And she meets this boy at school who seems to kind of understand what she's going through, is going through similar things with his mom, and his dad left. So yeah, there's some drama that ends up going on there, but the two really connect over this shared experience, even though they don't exactly know how shared it is. And they end up having a really sweet, really like powerful, intimate romance. Really cute. I really did enjoy this book. I really think Ashley Herring Blake does a great job of balancing like lovable yet real characters, hard-hitting topics, and like a feel-good kind of romance. These YA books are really like that at its best, and so I really did enjoy this one. How to Make a Wish is kind of a similar vein. It follows a young girl whose mom is kind of flaky, kind of untrustworthy. She can't really count on her. Her childhood has kind of been very much in upheaval, but this summer is her last summer before she goes to college, and she meets this new girl, and she's kind of discovering her sexuality and ends up having a romance with this girl while she's dealing with her mother being terrible. This is another book that really well balances like a lovable but flawed character, these difficult topics. Really, Ashley Herring Blake loves to write about parents that suck. These parents suck ass. I wanted to beat her mother up. She was so horrible. But overall, I've really enjoyed both of these books and ended up giving both of them 4 stars. I definitely would recommend Ashley Herring Blake. Definitely a very talented author. Definitely one of my favorites. Next in my ranking, I think I would put Most Ardently by Gabe Cole Novoa. This is a part of the Remixed Classics series. This is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, except Elizabeth Bennet is Oliver Bennet, a trans man. He still has a romance with Mr. Darcy. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was well written. I really liked the characters. I liked the parallels to Pride and Prejudice and the way that it kind of turned things on its head and remixed it. I really thought it was very well done and very good. I think my only critique would be that it was a little bit surface level. I feel like it didn't dive into some things as much as I wanted it to. There's also a lot of misgendering, like on page, unchallenged, of Oliver, which is definitely very difficult to read. Even myself as a cis woman, I would be careful going into this one because of that. But overall, I did think it was a really good story. It had a really sweet ending, and I ended up really loving the scenes between Oliver and his parents. I thought those were really well done and very sweet and very affirming as a queer person. I did really enjoy this one, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars as well. Next on my list is Backwards to Oregon by Jay. This is a historical romance following our main character, who has lived as a man for a really long time. She still feels connected to her womanhood in some ways, but like she is a man also. And basically she wants to go west to Oregon, and in order to kind of keep her true identity hidden, she decides that it would be a good idea to have a wife. And so she meets our love interest at this brothel and decides to marry her, and she also has a kid. So they become like a little family unit, travel on the Oregon Trail to Oregon. I really liked this book because I really love Oregon Trail history. I don't know, it's my Roman Empire, something about it. And I really liked these characters. I did wish that they kind of trusted each other sooner. It takes a really long time for our main character to open up to our love interest, and that was frustrating to me. I did think that this ended up being a really beautiful romance. It did progress very beautifully and naturally. I really loved the scenes between our main character and the love interest daughter. They were just really cute. I love like a kind of chosen parent kid fic trope, so I really enjoyed that. Once they finally got together, it was like very beautiful and lovely. The ending was a little bit rushed, just because it took so long for them to get together, in my opinion, but I did really like how it ended, and I really thought it was very good, so I definitely would recommend this one. This was the one that I gave 4.5 stars to. Alright, and now we're gonna get into my 5-star reads of March. So the first 2 are kind of honorable mentions because they were the rereads this month. The first is Power Plays and Stray Days by Eden Finley and Saxon James. This is a jock nerd sports romance. Lots of tropes. It's also brother's best friend, and they play, well, the one character plays hockey. It's really cute. I really enjoyed it. I don't know, I was just like craving a reread of this series. I think because I have been recommending some of the other books in other videos, and I was like, well, let me just reread this one. It is fun and cute. I don't know if it's necessarily a 5-star read, but I feel like for the nostalgia's sake, it's like one of the first romances I read on KU, so it really holds a special place in my heart, and I think that's the reason why I really feel like it's a 5-star read. It's definitely not my favorite in this series though, so I might go back and reread some more in the series, but it is really cute and fun and just like it was a good palate cleanser. And then the other book that I reread, I mentioned earlier, is Unnatural by Alessandra Hazard. This is an Omegaverse romance, and it's between 2 alphas who have a sort of interesting relationship. It is arranged political marriage, and they kind of live on like it's kind of sci-fi-ish fantasy. Also, they don't live here on the earth. And I don't know what it is, but something about this book, because these 2 just don't want to like each other, but they just do. And they just end up being like so drawn to each other. I don't know, just something about a trope like that just really gets me. I really enjoy it. And so I just was craving a reread of this one. It's really quick and really short. I love the arranged marriage trope. I love it. And I love the characters in this book, and like the scent marking in this book makes me feral. Like, it's really good. I really enjoy this one, and it was a really fun reread, so this is definitely a 5-star read. This month, I also read The Girl from the Sea by Molly Knox Ostertag. This is a YA graphic novel, and it is so sweet and cute. In it, we're following our main character, Morgan. Morgan has been keeping a lot of secrets from all the people in her life. She's kind of been presenting this front of like what she thinks they want to see, when really inside she knows that she is queer and she has not told anybody. But then she meets this girl named Kelty and shares a kiss with her. Morgan kind of thinks it's all a dream, but it turns out it's not a dream. Kelty is actually a Selkie, and because Morgan has bestowed true love's first kiss on her, she can become a human and walk on land. Kelty doesn't really understand the human world though, and she kind of keeps embarrassing Morgan, but she ends up kind of teaching Morgan to be herself and accept who she is, and that the people in her life will love her how she is, and if they don't deserve to be in her life. So this was really sweet and really cute. I really liked Morgan's relationship with her family again. I thought it was so sweet and affirming and just lovely, and the romance between her and Kelty was kind of like sweet sad in the end, because she is a Selkie, she's a magical being, she can't really live on Earth, but I don't know, or can she? Or can she? This was really sweet and cute and such a quick read, and I loved it, and it's been on my shelf for so long, so I'm really glad that my TBR takedown happened this month so I could read this one. I loved it. 5 stars. Another 5. I had so many 5-star reads. Another 5-star read, Junker 7 by Olive J. Kelly. This is a sci-fi book following our main character, Castor. Castor is a bounty hunter. They kind of just take odd jobs to survive. They don't have any family. They don't have any friends. They're just in survival mode. And so when they get this job that's for like $200,000, they jump at the chance. But there's a catch. This job is to transfer transgender activist Juno across space to this other planet to help her escape from the like intergalactic police that are chasing her. She's a wanted criminal. Castor's like, I don't know about aiding and abetting a crime. I'm just trying to fly under the radar and live my life and survive. And in this world, queer people are really being attacked, and they're trying to make being queer illegal, basically. Sounds familiar, but the money is just too good to be true, and also Castor feels this like little spark in them that's like, I should be helping other queer people. Even though they don't want to admit that. So they end up taking the job, and they and Juno get closer. Juno really inspires Castor and kind of convinces them that there's more to life, and they also have a romance, and it's really cute. And this book is so underrated. It's crazy. It only has a couple hundred reviews on Goodreads, but one of them is mine, and it's 5 stars because this book was amazing. It was so well written. It was so fun. It was such a good balance between queer joy and talking about important issues, which I really loved and appreciated. I loved all of the different side characters in this book, and the like race across space was really fun and exciting. Such an interesting world, so many parallels to our world. Kind of scary, but it was balanced in a way that didn't feel triggering to me, so I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was so much fun and so important and such a good read, and I want more people to read it because it was so good. Another book that I loved this month was A Gentleman's Gentleman by TJ Alexander. This is a queer Regency romance between 2 trans main characters. Our main character Christopher has inherited this earldom. It's hinted that there is some secret reason why he was able to do this as a trans man, and also like no one knows he's a trans man, so there's kind of like some secrets about his past floating around at the beginning of this book. But there is a will that his father left that says he has to be married by 25 in order to keep the earldom and all his inheritance. He has to go to London for the season and find himself a wife. The problem is Christopher is very much an introvert, very much keeps to himself, doesn't like to interact with other people, and is considered an oddball. And so in order to go to London for the season, he does have to hire a valet, and enters James Harding. And James Harding is unlike anyone Christopher has ever met. 1, is very attracted to him, and 2, just feels some kind of connection to him, feels like you can trust him, even though he also annoys him. But the 2 end up growing fairly close and end up kind of being each other's confidant. From there, a romance develops, but the conflict comes in. Christopher has to be married. He can't marry James Harding, at least not in Regency era England. What is he to do? What is gonna happen? This book though was so good. It was so well written. I loved the main characters so much, and also it was so fucking funny. It was hilarious. This is definitely a queer joy book. There is nothing bad that happens to any of the queer people in this book, so I love it. It's lovely. And the romance was so sweet. I was rooting for it the whole time. And it also didn't go the direction I thought it was going to, which I liked. It was like a fun surprise. I really liked this book. It was really, really good. Definitely, definitely one of my favorites of the month and probably one of my favorites of the year. I read so many good books this month. Definitely 5 stars. My second favorite book of the month was Inkblood Sister Scribe by Emma Torres. I loved this book and I was so not expecting to. This is a really exciting fantasy book that's kind of like part fantasy, part character study, part thriller. Like, it was so exciting and interesting. I had no idea what was going to happen up until like the last 50 pages. I was on the edge of my seat, frantically flipping pages, like, what the heck is going to happen? I didn't even know who was good and who was bad. At the end, I was like, what is happening? What is going on? And I loved it. It was so good. This book follows 2 estranged half-sisters and this big magical world that is bookish. Like, some people have the power to be scribes, to write with their blood in these magical books, turn them into spells, and then people can like read them and magic happens. Of our 2 sisters, one is immune to magic and the other can hear magic, but neither can do it. But we also are following a 3rd character named Nicholas who can do the magic. And it's basically the story about how these 3 people's lives are intertwined. Somebody is after them. Somebody wants all the power that magic holds for themselves and wants to control everyone that has the ability to do, hear, see magic. They're trying to kind of collect them. So that's what intertwines these 3 people, and they go on this quest to unhand magic from evil. Basically, which sounds really kitschy, but this book was not. This was like half cozy fantasy, half super exciting, like thriller. Like, it was so good. It was such an interesting genre blend of a book and I really loved it. I loved all the characters. One of them is also sapphic, so there is some queer rep in this book, which I really loved and appreciated. And yeah, it was just so good. I loved it. Amazing. Everyone should read this book. I can't believe it's sat on my shelf for so long, and it definitely was one of those books where I was like, I don't think I would ever want to pick that up. I'm glad I picked it up. It was so good. And last but not least, my favorite book of March is, of course, You Should Be So Lucky by Cat Sebastian. This is a historical MM romance following a main character who is a baseball player and one who is the reporter that writes about him. This is set in mid-century New York, and it was so fucking beautiful. This was the most beautiful book I've ever read in my entire life. The most beautiful, sweet, pure, romantic book I've ever read in my life. The way these 2 talked to each other and about each other was just incredible. It was so good. I underlined so many lines in this book because it's just so beautifully written. It's so beautifully written. I've never read a book that's this beautifully written. I loved Mark and Eddie to death. Their romance was to die for. I don't even know like how to tell you how much you need to read this book. So good. Oh my god, this is another book that feels real, but it's also about queer joy. Like, these 2 getting the happiness they deserve was so satisfying and so beautiful and lovely and wonderful and amazing. I love them both so much. So much. Oh my god. These 2 boys are my babies. I love them forever and I just want them to be happy and I want them to be safe. This book is everything to me. It is my favorite book of the year. Period. End of sentence. If you haven't read this book, you really, really need to. You need to. That was my March wrap up, plus all the book. Oh, not the book on the bottom. That was my March wrap up, plus all the books that I don't know that I read. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you being here. If you are interested in any of these books, I have them linked down in the description. Also down there, social media links. If you want to follow me, I would appreciate it. Also, don't forget the fun YouTube thing. Subscribe if you want to see more queer bookish content from me. Also, like this video if you liked it. Leave me a comment down below letting me know what the best book you read in March is. I would love to know that. I think that is everything for me today. So thank you so much for being here and for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.